Hello? Yeah. Hello. Y'all know how audio goes. So, welcome to another episode of Emerald City Technology Conversations. I have to remember
That's what it's
my
called,
own name of the show, yeah. I just made that up whimsically one day, and I was like, I have a picture of the Space Needle.
It fits.
Yeah. So it worked, and I've just run with it. I still want to get more things of like the troll and
Oh
other
yeah.
stuff that's like not the Space Needle, because I feel like it's just overused.
The
Like that's the
troll
unique thing.
is a big tourist attraction here, but I do think it is one of the underrated ones.
Yeah, like I mean, why is that not on more stuff? Like
Yeah.
I want a patch, just throw it right there. Troll.
Did you ever go to the mystery soda machine? You could use the mystery soda machine.
I don't even know about the.
I had a
mystery
friend
soda
that was
machine.
coming to visit Seattle, and I didn't know about this until he told me because he saw it on the internet. There's a soda machine in Capitol Hill that's just out on the street, and all of the it's like a rusty old soda machine, and all the buttons have question marks on them, and you just put 50 cents in, and you press a question mark, and you get a random soda. And I feel like for a long time, no one has known who refills this thing or maintains it, but it's still he got a cherry 7-Up. And
it's like the 4 a.m. road crew that appears from nowhere.
Yeah.
And just poof, it has drinks again.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I
gotta see.
That's
this
the
thing.
piece of Seattle that I like.
Yeah, I like that. Well, that's the stuff I always want too. It's like, and I can just imagine like a patch, with the soda machine.
Yeah.
Like you go to a meetup, you get the soda machine patch. The only people that know what's up with that is the people that went to the meetup and talked about like the soda machine, or whatever. I feel like I see a lot of that in InfoSec specifically, but not in like the rest of the meetups and stuff. I'm like, we got to bring that out. And Seattle's got a lot of good, just golden opportunities to bring up stuff like that. Yeah, good stuff. So, Seattle aside, we are in Seattle, always in Seattle. Recently in Seattle, there was EngineXConf, HashiConf, a few beer festivals, and other things. So you were just recently recently joined HashiCorp and went to HashiConf.
Yes, that was awesome. It's being at HashiConf, having worked for HashiCorp for a week and a half was definitely an interesting experience. The recruiter asked me like when I wanted to start and if I wanted to take time off between jobs, and it's like, no, I gotta start in time to be able to go to HashiConf because it's a unique opportunity. HashiCorp is right, exactly. Being as distributed of a company as HashiCorp is, the engineering teams are completely remote first. The chance to meet all of the people from this company that I just started at was a really great opportunity, and
that wouldn't even have occurred to me.
I'd
have just been like HashiConf,
and there is an office in San Francisco, but I think there's somewhere between 2 and 8 engineers that actually regularly sit in that office, and everyone else is all over the world, and so
that's the same thing at DataStax.
Sure,
where I work, we're fully distributed. There's an office in Santa Clara, which I guess people go into. I see people like in a conference room every once in a while on VidChat or whatever. But otherwise, I mean, we're all fully distributed.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty ideal, especially since we build a distributed database solution. It kind of helps put you in the mindset of being that way and thinking about the relating to the nodes or whatever.
Right.
But it works perfect with HashiCorp too, being that y'all effectively deploy all sorts of the world's distributed systems and all other types of goo here and there.
Yeah, and it's a cool model. This is my first time working fully remote. I've worked with distributed teams before, but from an office, and it's great. I think HashiCorp has done this for a while, and there's been a lot of lessons learned along the way. And actually, one of the keynote talks from the conference given by Preeti, our VP of Engineering, she talked a bit about some of the lessons we've learned and how we've done that. And if y'all get the chance, I highly recommend looking at the videos that get posted after the fact and watch that talk because it's super awesome. She did a great talk on the history of the company and how we're doing remote, and it was super cool.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely going to go back and look at the talks because, well, as we were talking about earlier, one of the things I tend to do, and I know it's a thing, there's legitimately hallway track.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's listed or not, there's the hallway track, and I often hit up all those and then watch talks post facto.
Yeah.
I don't always know if that's the best habit, but that's what I do. It seems to work.
I think it works for a lot of people. I honestly like. So I like the hallway track, and I love working the booth too. Like, so the talks are there; they're in the archive, they're watchable. But like that chance for that human interaction at the conferences, I think there's so much value in that doesn't always get talked about. So
yeah, like the booth almost seems like a how would I put it? It's like a hallway track.
Yeah,
but you're just people know where you are.
Yeah,
like they don't have to find you in the hallway walking around or something. So that's cool. But yeah, for a HashiConf, I got to loop back around with a whole bunch of people that I met at previous HashiConf events, but also just doing all sorts of stuff with infrastructure as code, tooling and services and stuff. And I've done quite a bit. Like I did a LinkedIn learning course in Terraform.
Sure.
I've done a fair bit of infrastructure just for large corporate entities in the Seattle area. So it's always great to catch up with that whole crew, even if I'm not doing any infrastructure stuff. I'm just like writing just whatever right now. But I really enjoyed this one. Got to catch up with a lot of people. And it was great that like across the street was the NGINX Conf.
Yeah.
Like that seems so perfect. I'm like, oh, it's HashiConf, and then like the thing that you build every Hello World infrastructure piece with.
Yep.
So that was super cool. Was there any key things that stood out? Key note-ish things that stood out?
Yeah. So there's a couple of announcements that I think were pretty cool. And the first, so like, so I just started as a developer advocate. I'm focusing on Terraform. And so the big thing in Terraform news that was super cool was the expansions to the free tier in Terraform Cloud.
Cool.
And there was some more, stuff that was announced for Terraform, but I think that was exciting. And HashiCorp has kind of stood for a while as like a enterprise first company. But I think, there's a lot of companies out there doing the like open source enterprise version model. And I think the thing that I've respected about HashiCorp for a long time, even before working there, and like that they've done really well at is like really understanding like what enterprise users need and putting those features behind the enterprise paywall and then keeping the other stuff open source rather than just like taking the arbitrary cool features and putting that behind the paywall and then keeping like the base model open source. They've really tried to differentiate between what open source and smaller users need versus what enterprise teams need and separate based on that distinction.
Yeah.
And I think some of the new features in the free tier of Terraform Cloud reflect that. So like being able to do like remote state store and remote exec and like remote plan and all that in the free tier, like those are things that everyone's going to use. So that's super sweet. And then on the console front, there was there's the big announcement of fully managed console on Azure, which for me was exciting because 2 weeks ago I worked for Azure, and so like seeing my former and previous employer, or my previous and current employer, come together and do something cool was super fun for me, and like getting to see all my Microsoft people at the conference was cool. And it's the very first like fully managed service mesh that is being released, so it's exciting.
What was it? I think it was Armand said it's like every week a new service mesh is released.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I almost feel like it runs parallel with the JavaScript UI frameworks.
Right.
It's like, oh, we got a new one this week.
Yeah. The infrastructure community has to keep up somehow, and we've chosen our way clearly. And it is service mesh.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about some of those things because like right now one of the things I am working on actively, on stream even, is building out a work environment where I can spool up and shut down on a daily basis my entire infrastructure.
Nice.
And I'm using Azure for a plethora of reasons. And I'll probably do it on GCP and AWS too, just for good measure. But right now I'm focused on Azure. I spin up a Kubernetes cluster. I spin up images, set up some virtual machines for certain things, Kubernetes stuff for certain things, because I'm kind of modeling the way enterprises would probably need to have it done versus I want to do it all the cool, easy way with Kubernetes.
Yeah.
So I spin that up, and I've been working on a lot of that stuff. So these features that you just mentioned, that's going to be pretty cool to have that in the free version, because primarily I'm working from the free version with the notion of like, if you do this in an enterprise account, you could do it with these other capabilities that would make it easier. But if you're just hacking stuff together, here's a starter plan, here's your open source Terraform stuff over here in GitHub. But yeah, I've used Terraform for a while now to do that specifically.
Right.
I never managed to just jump directly to Docker. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I have all my stuff in Docker. I can spin up my 3 containers or whatever and do all my stuff in Docker. I've always needed an environment.
Right.
Like, I feel like maybe I've just never simplified my life enough for just the containers. But it works out real well. And then, of course, I have Kubernetes to stick all the containers I need in that thing.
Right.
But, no, I'm pretty stoked about the releases and everything.
It's cool stuff, yeah. And I think there was a lot of buzz and excitement about it at the conference. And, like, I don't know. The DevOps community, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know if we're still using DevOps community or infrastructure community or whatever, but like among technology, like it's such a vibrant community, and like you've got a group of people that really care about these tools and are excited about it, and like HashiCorp in particular, like our community of users is just so awesome, and like I don't know, that's when I first started in technology, I never thought I would go into infrastructure, and it was the community that like basically grabbed me and pulled me down this path, because it was super vibrant, cool group of people, and so to kind of feel that energy at the conference, you know, and just around these announcements was cool. Like at the end of the day, it's like silly because it's like our work and it's what we do for a job, but like people are genuinely excited about this stuff, and
I think about that all the time. I'm like, I have other hobbies. I don't do things like this for my other hobbies. Like, it just seems really weird that there isn't more of this type of activity around that. I think part of it, too, is, I mean, we enjoy what we get paid to do.
Yeah.
So we're kind of passionate about it. And it's also kind of the direction of humanity to try to simplify things with technology. And this is the forefront of it. I've even done kind of a historical study and said, like, well, okay, now we're doing this with computers and all this stuff. We're super excited about it. What did people were doing conventions and conferences and stuff, 30 years ago and 80 years ago and even further back. And I looked and I was like, oh, yeah, this did exist. It was just for different industry, because different industries were what felt like to people as the thing that was pushing the ball forward.
Right.
And now it's the computery stuff.
Yeah.
But it made more sense when I looked at the historical context of it, because it did seems like we have this like unicorn effect going on, and everybody else is like, why the hell are y'all happy about your job? I'm mad. I'm going home. Like that's how I feel sometimes when I talk to other industries.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a bit of that. It's almost hubris, but at the same time, it's like
there's a degree of that.
Right. It's not meant to be negative or bad hubris. It's just we're happy about what we're doing.
Well, and that's like, I don't know, that gives me energy, right? Like I appreciate working amongst people and being amongst people that are excited about what they're doing, and that alone is a thing that can drive excitement and energy in me. And like I think we're in a place where we can just all feed off each other, this energy we're generating, and
Well, I love that too, and I feel like I need to. Like I'm totally an introvert. I really am. Same. I know a lot of y'all don't believe that, but I am an introvert.
It's weird when you talk to like people who are working as dev advocates and are introverts. Like I feel like there are more of us than it seems.
Yeah.
But
and I tell people, it's like what you see is the time where I've like turned on and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna interact with everybody, do the best I can. But when my energy goes down, all you're gonna hear out of me is and I'm gonna be like a zombie. But I have to charge up that enthusiasm every once in a while with people.
Right.
Because it helps me firmly plant my feet in, we do this for each other. We're doing this to make things better in whatever route we're going to do that.
Right.
And if I'm just sitting implementing stuff, it's a great feeling to sit down and deploy stuff and get it done and get it shipped. And every once in a while I get to see people using it or something like that. And that's rewarding unto itself. But if I'm only doing that and not talking to people about things to a larger community, then I start to just kind of like nosedive. I'm like, oh God, I'm just drudging through this crap all the time.
That's insightful. Like it took me a long time to figure that out about myself, and it's ultimately why I made my way into this type of role, because like I eventually figured out that I'm not the type of person who's fit to just sit, in a vacuum and code all day, and I kind of need that external interaction to drive myself a little bit, and I found that's where I was starting to get energy. But yeah, very much I do recharge by being at home. Like I think I fled HashiConf at like 9 o'clock last night and went and just like sat on my couch quietly. It was like, this was an awesome conference, but I needed to.
I was either talking to, who was I talking to? I think it might have been Ashley, and she's like, yeah, some days I'm like, I give the talk and I'm back in the hotel room, zombied out, just in bed watching TV or something, because I'm like, I can't deal with more people right
now. My boss actually at HashiCorp, when I was getting the ticket and get everything set up, she was like, well, we can get you a hotel room. And I was like, well, I live 7 minutes away. I'm just in Eastlake. I'm so close. I don't need a hotel room. And then I regretted that decision the entire time. It was like, I could have gone and taken a nap yesterday without having,
It's amazing how I've only recently started thinking about that.
Yeah.
For Seattle stuff. And part of the problem is I lived in Portland for so long.
Sure.
Where everything is like 2 minutes. Walk across the street, boom, I'm there. Walk across the street, I'll pass out, whatever. It was a little more casual in that sense, but now, like, I look at Seattle and anything that isn't in the immediate core or even in Ballard, right? I'm like, do I need a hotel room? Will I be able to get to the next place in time? Because I went and did some work in Kirkland, and I got a hotel room. Because I'm like, it's going to take me an hour and a half at rush hour, regardless of how I go, to get there.
Yeah, for any of our viewers, if there are any who have spent any time in Ballard and Seattle, the roads are really something, and there's no freeway access, and the traffic here is truly legendary. So getting in and out of Ballard,
it's your only option. You bike.
Yeah, no, it's a great option, really.
Yeah. Well, I tell people too, because a lot of people think that your trip time to downtown is 40 minutes, period, pretty much flat.
Yeah.
And I would agree, except I don't experience that reality ever.
Yeah.
It takes me 27 minutes to get from my house, which is in the north end of Ballard, to downtown because I bike.
Yeah.
And it's a simple physics thing of, sure, I'm not going 40 miles per hour on my bike.
Right.
You might go 40 a little bit in a bus or in a car, but you have to stop every 20 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever. And I basically have 2 path segments that get me the whole distance. And I don't stop on those paths. I just move a smooth 15 miles per hour. I see the little duckies or whatever. I guess geese. Sorry, I don't know my file. But that's like how I get there. And whenever I tell people, oh, it's consistently 27 minutes to downtown. And they're just like, you're on crack. How do you get there? I'm like, it's my helicopter.
So I'm in Eastlake, and my partner works in Wallingford, and she walks. She walks to work. Yeah, right? It's like 2 miles, and she walks because it is 9 times out of 10 faster than taking the bus or driving because of traffic.
Yeah, especially that. Yeah, there's like, you kind of go away and then back in because of Lake Union, right? Yeah. That's I end up in Eastlake every once in a while. Like, I'll loop around.
Yeah.
And do that, and it's always kind of...
It's a cool little area.
I like it. Yeah. Never lived there. But also, have you ever seen Sleepless in Seattle with Tom Hanks?
Yeah, like 15 years ago probably, and I've been told, like, I know, I live in Seattle, I haven't seen it, I get it.
You don't really have to watch it.
I get the religious spirit. Well, and, there's a restaurant in Pike Market called the Athenian with some of my favorite seafood in Seattle. Like, I love going there.
Yeah, it's a good place.
It's usually quiet after the market closes and the restaurants are still open, but they got their little plaque on there. Tom Hanks sat here, Sleepless in Seattle, and, like, I love that restaurant. I still haven't seen the fucking movie. Like, I get it. I'll see it, but... I feel like it's my responsibility at this point. Seen 10 Things I Hate About You. That's based in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's
That Singles movie was based out of Seattle.
Yeah.
And in all of those, in normal movie fashion, it's kind of fun to watch it, and you see people like walking down Pine Pike on Capitol Hill or something, and then they're by the J&M Cafe in Pioneer Square, which is 2 miles away, and it's only 10 seconds later, and then they're at Pike Place Market. It's like all this stuff is 30-minute walks, minimum, and they're just walking around in the movie doing this, just like Tom Hanks' water boat or houseboat, whatever you call this thing. I should know that by now too, but it's in Eastlake.
Yeah.
Okay, that they filmed that in.
Yeah, that's where those houseboat communities are, like right
there. Yeah, exactly. And he always just like walks out and is at Pike Place Market.
Right, of course.
Boom, beautiful, fresh food and everything. It's like, that's you don't walk there in 2 seconds. But that's cool.
Within my first 2 months here, I was inadvertently thrown off the set of Grey's Anatomy. Because I was just trying to get my lunch when I was working at Starbucks corporate, and like they have a shuttle that goes to Pioneer Square every day for lunch, and like I was going through there, and like I got this whole people that are like diverting people, like you gotta go, you gotta get out of here, like.
That's funny. So they were doing that here.
Oh yeah.
Right here on Ballard Ave, and it was one of those things where they had most of the street roped off, and I come down on my bike. And they were redirecting traffic over off of Leary here. Yeah. And like you couldn't even turn into Ballard Ave. But of course I ride down because I'm coming right here to where I work. And somebody stops me and says, "Whoa, you can't come in there." I'm like, "My office is right there. I'm going to my office. Get out of the way." And they're like, "Oh, sorry." But then I stopped and I was like, "Oh, but hey, what are y'all recording?" And they're like, "Oh, it's Grey's Anatomy." I'm like, "Oh, okay,
good." I saw that once.
Funny. Yeah. They just did a car ad or something too, and they come driving down the middle of the street here, and I come riding up, and all I see is this like weird truck with water spraying off the back, and there's like a Jeep following it, and it's just like inundating the Jeep with all this water. And I'm thinking, it rains here a lot. You could have just waited a day.
It's like a gentle rain though. Like
right.
My parents watched this show, and I don't remember what it's called, but they sent me a link to it. They watched this first episode. It's based in Seattle, and the entire episode is pouring rain, like all like hard pouring rain, and nobody's thinking anything of it. It's like this is not authentic.
Right.
We just
it's like somebody got
it's
a truck
just like
and it's
moist outside all the time.
We did get that lightning storm.
I was in Portland.
Freaked everybody out.
I was pissed. I missed the one storm. I come from a place where I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. It storms all the time. And I come here and I miss the one storm we get a year. I love Portland, so I was happy I was there. But still,
same.
Yeah.
I was at my sister-in-law's wedding.
Yeah.
And we were up on the roof of the building, so we're looking at this lightning out over the Puget Sound, Space Needle and stuff, and it's just like, it's not even real. It just looks too like stock photos, and we're taking pictures of people at the wedding and stuff, and then I noticed like some other people got married too. They got like these epic shots of this lightning in the background. That's and they're like holding each other or whatever. I was like, you couldn't have timed that for anything here, because it's like that's less frequent here than hurricanes in the South.
Right.
Maybe I shouldn't even compare that, because that happens pretty frequently now. Yeah. But anyway, it's just like that doesn't happen. I don't remember the last time I ever saw that much lightning in the Northwest, period. Yeah. Portland, Seattle, or anywhere around here. It's pretty nuts. Oh, yeah. Cool
so
stuff.
You're at DataStax. What do they have products that they work on other than Cassandra, or what?
Yeah. So I was just about to tell you about some of that stuff, because some of it is going to be HashiCorp focused.
Sure.
Well, I should just say Terraform focused. So we're working on a number of things. One of them is an operator for Apache Cassandra DataStax Enterprise. So DataStax Enterprise is basically Apache Cassandra with like some core engine pieces changed, gives a little bump in perf for some things. It's a little more enterprise focused too, because we got like some default security paradigms, so you can hook it up into the SSO, single sign-on.
When I was at Target Corporate, the team that I worked on were the core maintainers for the DataStax Enterprise Chef Cookbook.
Ah, very cool. Yeah, so like that's one of the things we always try to help with too, is like whatever stuff people are using to help deploy it in their environments.
Yeah.
We also do Op Center and a lot of the graphical user interface around monitoring the cluster or clusters that you have,
sure,
and managing like adding nodes, taking nodes away, just makes it a lot easier than trying to manually automate this stuff all the time. It does a lot of that for you, unless of course you've like spun up your own Terraform stuff or your own autoscale region. Then that's a whole different thing. I mean, you can manage it that way. And I'm actually going to be working on a provider for it's part of the Constellation package of things that we're working on right now.
Yeah.
So Constellation kind of covers everything. And I think we're going to name it like Stars or something like that.
Sure.
But we're working on an online product where basically you'll be able to deploy out your DataStax Enterprise clusters, i.e. Apache Cassandra clusters, out to AWS, Azure, GCP,
nice.
Whoever, whatever, you have your stuff in, so that it's there with your apps, right? Because you want your data near your apps. You don't want your 15 petabytes of stuff sitting off and paying $9 billion a week to transfer all that data. So we got that in the works, and I'm looking forward to building a Terraform provider so that you can just, there's my resource, here's how many nodes I want, this is how the default stuff I want set up, make it happen.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
So that's going to be super cool. And I have a little bit of provider experience, even though every provider I've written has been freak stuff. Because, Terraform providers, you generally think of like, okay, I'm going to build it for something to deploy to DigitalOcean or AWS or whatever, and it's for, that specific thing, and then you're going to have X number of resources to deploy to that environment. One of the ones that I worked on was we were deploying BIOS flashes for an RFID system.
Okay, that's pretty niche.
Yeah, and as we were doing this, it was weird how it happened, because we're like, well, we need something that will do basically an immutable push out to a whole environment. Like, let's say there's a port. That's a perfect example. The port has 8 billion containers coming in and off the ships, out to the trucks, to the trains, whatever. And there's little RFID sensors that track where each of these are going, so you know which thing's getting shipped to where. And there's these sensors around the port complex that keep track of all this stuff. And every once in a while, a new patch comes out or something comes out where you need to flash that so you can track more data or just whatever. And we're like, well, how do we do that in an immutable way where we can just like apply that change? And it was funny because somebody said apply that change, and I thought, hey, why don't we just write it a provider? That seems like maybe not the greatest idea, but it would probably work. And then we did it, and it ended up being a great freaking idea. Like, it was a perfect tool for that, because we could build it into the whole build process. We would build out there's like gigs and gigs of code and weird stuff that get pulled together to build this like little bitty flash, which would be 15 megabytes or something.
Yeah.
And then we just needed that pushed out there, and then a reboot to occur. So we'd push it out, a reboot would occur, and then Terraform would actually have it in state what the reboot status was. Like, did it reboot? Did it not reboot?
Sure.
And it would sit there, and it had this poll, and then that would be your final immutable state. And you would just keep it in either a state of patched, not patched, or whatever.
Nice.
It's pretty neat. But I'm looking forward to writing a provider that isn't super niche.
Yeah.
It's like actually does a computery, systems-y, distributed systems type of thing deployment. So that'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, so that's what we do. We also, there's the Apache Cassandra base, but it's multi-model. So it's got graph, it's got geolocation, query types and other things in there to help you write those, because those get weird. And then we also got analytics and search on it using like Solar, and all this stuff is like nicely put together so an enterprise can get it, and they got their whole multi-model system, they got their SSO going on, all that stuff just boom, right in one package and get it out there. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's what we do.
That's awesome.
And then we contribute back as often as possible to
they definitely seem like a company that's been present in the community, which is cool.
We try to keep it that way.
Yeah.
There's always, everything's always changing. It's been interesting too to be part of a company that kind of has an idea of how they want to do licensing around a thing.
Sure.
With all the licensing how would you put it, kersnuffles or whatever that have happened lately, where it's like, mine, you can't use it, and it's like, but you open sourced it. So yeah, it's nice to be from that position, to be able to look at it. Yeah, it definitely seems like a little bit of a rough spot for some.
Sure.
In the industry.
Yeah, and I've seen y'all at sponsorships for various conferences too, which is cool. I think that's a great way to stay present in the community. Like
we're being seen.
Yeah, and it's cool too. Like I've seen not just like companies like DataStax, but what I've been noticing recently, which I think is super cool, is seeing like non-technology first companies that make heavy use of these open source tools that are sponsoring. So like seeing like the Home Depot sponsoring
shout out Home Depot crew.
Yeah, and Target has been super present in the Minneapolis technology community, and like seeing companies like that. When I was at Target, I talked a lot about like the importance of open source and how we give back to that community, because like these businesses, like while Target and Home Depot and companies like that, like retail first, right?
Yep.
Literally like every single action that makes a company like that a penny, any item that is scanned uses open source code. And so like I think there's a huge responsibility there to give back to that community, and like I have been seeing companies like that take that responsibility seriously and actually participate, and it's super cool. Like it's how this all works. Yeah. Like, yeah,
I'm loving seeing that too. That was one of the things I actually, what did I call myself? When I was working with the Home Depot team, I worked with a team out of the Portland area called Quote Center. And it was actually an acquisition, but definitely, part of the whole mothership and everything now. And I was helping them do a number of things, everything from like figure out cloud and how to use certain tech there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But one of my titles that I had given myself, because when I got brought in, it was kind of under a weird way where I was coming in to help them do a lot of different things. I didn't have like a single task. And one of them was open source ethnographer, I think, which is like the study of a culture.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is perfect, because I was helping explain and help people figure out like, how do we need to communicate with the community? How do we need to make it so that we're contributing in an open way, but also not just like splurting out internal junk that nobody needs to deal with anyway. Like, how do we actually return value? And also, it was total two-way street. It's like a win-win situation, because like Home Depot contributes back and does a lot of this open source stuff now.
Right.
But also in turn, people then know, like, oh, check that out. I want to go work on that at Home Depot. They're doing, $87 billion a year in revenue, and I want to see what this and this looks like, and they're using this system for it, and they got Kafka and whatever else, and Cassandra, and it gives you insight into how you can, when you come on board, like how you can help the company. Well, so it's a great two-way street.
Companies like that are early in their journeys of doing this kind of stuff, or just like have a lot to do, like have grand plans for like where they want to take their technology story. Like there's so much room to have like a huge amount of impact at a company like that and really do super cool things. Like that's a totally understated thing, like working for a company like the Home Depot, like and getting to like be there for the building of those platforms and the standing up of that stuff. Like that's impactful, and it's super cool.
Yeah, it is. And it one of the things, like I'd been to Home Depot before. Yeah. I worked there, and I was like, house crap.
Yep.
Like that was there's some gardening stuff, I had no idea what was going on.
Day one of HashiConf, we so the DA team built a game called Dance Dance Automation, and we had these hardware tablets, and they had HashiCorp logos on them. Yeah. And it was running on a Nomad cluster, and on the screen, you know how Dance Dance Revolution works, right? Like the colors fly by and you stamp on, and so each of the colored squares had the ID of a Nomad allocation, and when you stamped on the hardware, it would kill the allocation as it passed, and it was essentially a race with the Nomad scheduler. Yeah. But we had some hardware issues on while we were trying to get set up, and we one of the DAs is from the Netherlands, and he had never been to a Home Depot before. So Rosemary, the other Terraform advocate, and I were like, we're going to go to Home Depot. And we needed to get some wires and I think an EU to US adapter for the power and stuff. And so we got to give him his first Home Depot experience, which was a good time.
That's cool. Yeah, with home renovations and stuff, I have seen a lot of Home Depot lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, it always just adds a whole new realm once you work at a company from a particular perspective. Whether you're like at the desk in a store helping customers, or you're working in IT managing like where the data flow of all this stuff is coming through.
Yeah.
It always just adds so much context to like what's actually going on when you go in a store and buy a thing.
Yeah. Well, when I was at Target, when I started there, I was a new grad, and I was in a rotational program, and they made us all go work for a week in the store as part of our onboarding, just to get a feel for it. And it was a valuable experience, including the one overnight, which was hell, but also a valuable experience.
Overnight?
Yeah, they're doing overnight.
What are you doing overnight?
So yeah, there's people working at Target 24 hours a day, every day. So you unload the trucks, and you get all that, and you
truck cleaning, all that extra.
Yeah, so we had to do a night of that, which was exhausting, but valuable.
But yeah, it seems interesting that they would get technology people to do an overnight one.
Well,
but
it's for all the workers there, like, oh, these fucking kids are useless, and they were right. But like,
you're like, I picked up a thing. There's 90,000 more.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah, that was one of the, speaking of 24-hour things. Like, I always notice stuff like that at Walmart, Target, wherever I go. But I don't think anything really sunk in until I worked at a Waffle House.
Ooh.
We didn't close. We just did all that stuff like in real time. You staffed appropriately, and everybody had specific duties. Everybody had like a mission. It was still to this day, I am super impressed by Waffle House for like a multitude of reasons. Not just because they have like hurricane codes. That's impressive unto itself, and mad respect for them. But also, like, they actually have investment and retirement for their people.
That's awesome.
And every time I hear about a company going, oh, we're just like a food company or whatever, I don't know, it's kind of hard to do retirement and stuff. I'm like, if Waffle House does it, y'all can do it. It just means you ain't got your shit together, period. End of story.
Yeah.
Like, you figure out how to take care of your people. Waffle House taking care of their people, you can take care of your people.
All the Trader Joe's, that they do it too. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, it can be done. It's
yeah, you just gotta figure out where your balance points are, and then work on it. But yeah, I've always been amazed by it. They have the one thing called $1 Million Club, and basically what that is, like, even if you wait tables for like 35 years, you'll retire with $1 million, which gives you that's like 20 years of runway to be old,
right?
And when you're a salesperson, i.e., wait staff at a Waffle House, $1 million, that's plenty of retirement. That's going to give you what you've been making plus a little bump.
Right.
So, as long as you buy into the retirement plan, which isn't like a ton of cash or anything.
Right.
You're good. You'll be able to retire one day, which I'm just
shout out Waffle House.
Yeah. Good job, Waffle House. But also, I've heard a lot about it too, because just recently with the hurricane and everything.
Yeah.
And my brother's like, I pinged my brother. He lives down in Boca Raton, and I was like, "So you ready for the hurricane?" He's like, "I probably ain't gonna come here. I'm just gonna go check though. I'm gonna go get some hash browns." And I'm like, "Cool, scatter cover chunk." And he's like, "Yeah, probably covered too, and topped." I was like, "All right, if they got all that, then you're good." But it's like, if you see the reduced menu, or heaven forbid you see closed. If you see a closed Waffle House, leave.
Run the other direction.
Yeah, like, get out of town, because things are bad. But yeah, he went and checked, and he's like, "Nah, they had full menu. It was packed." So it just cracks me up.
Weathered by Waffle House, I love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So any other last minute things that you have thought of?
I think just one more recommendation for talks to go watch.
Yeah.
I think Seth Vargo's closing keynote that he did for HashiConf is super worth everybody's time. So he talked about Google's journey upgrading to Terraform 0.12.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the pain that came along with that. And like, I think it's kind of a weird thing, right? Because like you think, he's at HashiConf and he's going to talk about pain with one of our tools, but it was awesome. It was it was somebody getting up on stage and being authentic and telling a story in the hopes that others can maybe get something out of that. And like Google uses Terraform at a scale that possibly no other company does. And so it's a very unique situation. But he also talked about like there's probably nothing that the Terraform team could have done differently in terms of how they did Terraform 1.12, but it was just an awesome share out and an awesome story. And Seth has a long history with HashiCorp.
Oh yeah.
So it's a great talk. He's an absolutely engaging speaker. And then the other one that I really enjoyed, and this was a hallway track talk, and so I don't know if those were recorded and are going to be up. I hope so. But Patty Carver, who's been an engineer with HashiCorp for a while, talked about the history of our Pride logo, the LGBT rainbow HashiCorp Pride logo, and
Oh no, this barely have any stickers. I was gonna say I have that sticker on one of my laptops.
And how that came about, and how he kind of got the ball rolling on that, and what that was like. And it is a really cool story about like he went to Yana and was like, "Can I make a Pride sticker?" And she said, "No, you cannot. But we will pay someone to do it and do a good job of it." And so they hired an agency and came up with some great designs. And basically the whole cool part of the story was like how it has become our consistently like number one like sellout piece of swag at every conference, and we can never make enough of them. And like the first batch, it was like 12 of them in the order, and
that's cool.
It was just a cool story. And if that ends up recorded and shared out, I will share it on Twitter and various channels, because it is like a 15-minute hallway track talk, but one of my favorite talks of the conference, especially as someone new to HashiCorp. Like, it was cool to hear the story.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good one. I think I've been banned from making swag for a while. Like it's always some goofy little like metal thing I usually do or something.
That's the swag that I want. So like if you end up like, at least you've got me that will take it happily.
What's so funny? So like whenever I make swag, I like people almost always are like, send me it.
Yeah.
Send me that thing. You made that? Yeah, send it here. So like I always run out of like little goofy things I make. But then often like corporate branding's like, that's a little too weird. Like you put a skull on it, or you did this other thing. This is why
perspectives matter, even in marketing. Like,
yeah, so I'm just like, all right, I'll do this. It's on the down low, it's on the side, basically. And that's like with the troll thing I'm talking about. I got to get that on the patch, whether it becomes official branding or not. But we got a lot of cool official branding too, like
that's pretty good. I like that one.
And we got the little gremlins hanging out.
Yeah, that's cute.
The Cassandra rhinoceros. So, we have a fair amount of awesome stuff that has the little hidden bits here and there. So let's see here. I wanted to show everybody real quick.
Oh, and then actually last thing before we go. If anyone is local to Seattle tonight, we're having a special user group meetup.
You heard that.
And so, HashiCorp user groups are all over the country, and all over, I think, maybe even outside the U.S. at this point. So we just hit 25,000 members across all the user groups, which is awesome. Love our community. But we're doing a special HashiConf edition tonight in Seattle with some of the speakers from HashiConf giving talks. I'll be there emceeing. It's going to be a great time. So
where is it?
It's at the Chef office.
The Chef office.
So,
if you don't know the Chef office, you should by now, because there's meetups there all the time.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's a cool place.
It's an awesome location.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think I'm excited to have some people from HashiCorp that are not local to be here an extra day and hang out. And it's going to be great.
Very cool. All right, so you heard it here first. Go there. So just to revamp here, here's the site of the conference, which you should go check out. It'll probably change and say other things soon.
Yeah, we just announced HashiCorp 20 or HashiConf 2020 too.
Oh, did you?
So
is it here yet? If I refresh and it'll.
They should have it up. If not now, then soon. we're in San Diego next year.
Sweet.
A little bit later in October, but it's
cool.
It's going to be fun.
I feel like there's a lot of conferences popping up in San Diego.
We've been inadvertently like following KubeCon. Yeah. Austin to Seattle to San Diego, like it's kind of been an accident, but like it works out. Like,
that's funny.
And we actually just announced our first event in Australia, so we're doing Hashi Days next year. So we're gonna go to Australia and do an event there, and we've got EU in Amsterdam again next year. So we're trying to bring HashiConf out to people that maybe can't make it to the States, and
very cool. So attend all of those that you can.
Yeah.
Totally worth it. I recommend it. I know you recommend it.
Certainly.
And we'll see you there sometime.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was awesome.
So, yeah. And then everybody gets the fun Seattle-oriented
little outro.
outro.